Chapter 42, if you can keep it. All right, how's it going? It's Mr. Gately here. Now I'm in my Patriot hat, Patriot tie still. And we're here to learn about the Patriots who wrote our U.S. Constitution, the framers. In this chapter, we're going to learn more about the Bill of Rights, mostly written by James Madison. I always thought Thomas Jefferson did. He's over in France hanging out. No, he was in France being an ambassador for our country. And John Adams was ambassador to England. So they had really important jobs, but they missed the Constitution thing. So let's hear about James Madison, the father of the Constitution. And maybe you'll get to learn more about the amendments. At the end of this, I also include the 10 amendments. The assignment is, I want you to do an open response. You pick the most important right to you, what you think what right is the most important, and just defend it and explain why. And you can use the book to help you. You are going to use the book to help you, or you won't get a good grade. All right. But you can also put your own thoughts and feelings in as well. That would add a lot of voice to the paper. So I expect you to use textual evidence, but I expect you to use your voice as well. I think this could be a fun assignment or a meaningful one. So I'm only having the social studies have an open response this week. Okay, so I expect this one to be good. All right. And go Patriots. The U.S. All right. Chapter 42, if you can keep it. George Mason was right about something else. The Constitution has no Bill of Rights, he said. Now, how could that have happened? All those brilliant men and they forgot a Bill of Rights? Well, they hadn't forgotten. They just thought that because the state constitutions had Bill of Rights, a general one wasn't necessary. But it was. A good Bill of Rights guarantees things like freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and free speech. Americans cared deeply about those freedoms. Mason wasn't the only one who was upset. Jefferson wrote from Paris to Madison and Washington that a Bill of Rights was needed. In Massachusetts and Virginia, the state conventions agreed to ratify the Constitution only after they added strong recommendations that the first Congress pass a Bill of Rights. North Carolina and Rhode Island wouldn't even ratify the Constitution. They were afraid of losing precious liberties if they joined the infant nation. They wanted to see a Bill of Rights before they signed. This is what happened. James Madison served in the first Congress, and he wrote the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. They are called the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom to assemble, to gather in groups, and protest or petition the government when there are problems to be solved. Most people agree that the First Amendment is the most important part of the Bill of Rights. Absolutely. It has everything in it almost. All right. The Second Amendment says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. To bear arms means to carry guns, but there is more to it. Read the whole amendment. Do we have a militia today? Why was it important for citizens to bear arms in the 18th century? Do you think it's important today? The Third Amendment says that soldiers can't be quartered in your house without your consent. The Fourth Amendment says that police can't come and search your house unless they have proper legal papers. In some countries, the police can burst in on you at any time. Would you like that? The Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, and Eighth Amendments all have to do with fair trials. The Fifth Amendment says no person can be forced to be a witness against himself. That's the Fifth Amendment. That helps protect us from those who might be tempted to use torture to force confessions. The Ninth and 10th Amendments say that any powers or rights that the Constitution does not give to the federal government belong to the states or to the people. Why do you think the framers wrote those amendments? Recent court decisions have said that the Ninth Amendment gives people the right to privacy. That means we can have secrets, even from the government. Read the Bill of Rights on page 199. I've included that. It gives you freedoms that people in many nations would love to have. You should know about them. Can you guess what Patrick Henry did when Virginia's General Assembly voted approval of the Constitution? Well, he didn't sulk. He said if it was the will of the people, then he was for it. Patrick Henry, who said, "Give me liberty or give me death," when they were making the Constitution, he said, "I smell a rat," and he didn't like it. But when it was voted for, what Joy Hakem is saying is, he said, "Okay, you voted for it." Alexander Hamilton get the kind of Constitution he wanted. He didn't get a king-like president, but when the Constitution was signed, Hamilton supported it. He even wrote a series of articles that were published in newspapers. They helped convince people to vote for the Constitution. Henry and Hamilton were gracious in their actions, and that became the American way. In this country, when a candidate loses an election for president, he doesn't become spiteful and nasty. He pledges to help the new president. That is the American way. Washington was elected president unanimously. He longed for the peace of his estate in Virginia, but he agreed once again to serve his country. That and the Bill of Rights convinced the people of North Carolina. North Carolina ratified the Constitution and became part of the United States. Independent-spirited Rhode Island was the only state that never sent a delegate to the Constitutional Convention. But finally, the Rhode Island legislature voted 34 to 32 to ratify the Constitution. Now there were 13 states, and just about everyone was feeling good about the new nation and confident with George Washington as first president. Except people in Europe. They said it wouldn't last. They predicted that the country would soon fall apart. A king or dictator would be necessary. It was all a wild experiment, they said. Self-government? People can't be trusted to govern themselves. People writing their own constitution? What an impractical dream. We fooled them. We showed it could work. The United States proved the worth of self-government. We proved the worth of democracy. Will our nation continue to last free and democratic? Jefferson knew that self-rule depends on informed citizens. He believed in education. He believed in freedom of the press. Will your generation be informed? Will you preserve American democracy? When Benjamin Franklin came out of the Pennsylvania State House on September 17th, 1787, his friend Elizabeth Powell, the wife of the mayor of Philadelphia, was waiting for him. She asked what kind of government the new nation would have. "A republic, madam," he told her, "if you can keep it." Those words were not meant just for Mrs. Powell. They were also meant for you. Phew! It was done. The Constitution written. The U.S. begun. The world wasn't upside down at all. No way. A new age had come to stay. So read on, good friends, in Book 4. The new nation will grow and fight and more. All right, so I'm glad you can take me seriously with this very serious hat. So it's interesting, the American way, Joy Hakem said, and she wrote this over a decade ago, was that Americans, when they lose gracefully. I'm not sure how that worked out this year. that's something to think about. Whatever you believe, it certainly didn't seem to be graceful. All right, hopefully we can fix that and make our country strong again. Okay, now you got to write which amendment is most important to you in the Bill of Rights, okay? I'm anxious to see which one you think the most important. It's kind of fun. All right, bye.